of the public and members of the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. It is about 13 minutes after 1 p.m. on the 5th day of March 2024. We are calling to order a special meeting of this committee, which we will begin with a roll call.
Yes, I'll call the roll. Mr. Chair, Mr. Harris Dawson.
Present.
Mr. Lee.
Present.
Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Here.
Ms. Padilla. Ms. Padilla.
Present, sorry.
And Ms. Hutt. 4 members and a quorum, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll start by taking public comment on agenda items only. We will not be taking comments on general public comments for this committee. As it is a special meeting, our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. We'll move through the agenda after we've taken public comment, hear staff presentations, and vote on items accordingly. Can we please read the rules for public comment into the record?
Yes, sir. Members of the public wishing to speak on one agenda item only shall have an opportunity to speak for 1 minute. If you wish to speak on more than one item, you shall state that and shall be allowed to speak for a total of 2 minutes. Failure to submit public comment in a timely manner before the comment period for the item ends results in forfeiture of the opportunity to participate in public comment for the item. Madam City Attorney, please provide additional guidance on public comment.
Adrian Corsani, City Attorney's Office. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you're speaking on an agenda item, you will get 1 brief warning. If you do not immediately get clearly on topic, or if you stray off topic and disrupt the meeting, you will forfeit the rest of your time and we will move on to the next speaker. We will inform you when your time is up.
Thank you so much. So before we open up for public comment, I want to ask if there are any amendments or changes that need to be read into the record before we take public comment, either from members of the committee or Department of City Planning.
Mr. Chair, with your indulgence, for item 7,
Yes.
there's a CAO report on the Build LA project. There is a modification to recommendation 2 of the CAO report. It does not change the amount that is being recommended. It is merely a technical change as to the accounts. And the CAO representative is present here.
Okay, thank you. So without objection, we will consider that item as amended.
Yes.
All right? So with that, we'll go to public comment. Yes.
Hi, Hago Solomon Carey, City Planning. I wanted to make an amendment to item number 1 to instruct the Department of City Planning to be the lead in collaboration and consultation with City Attorney's Office.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. That's before us. All right, we need some sound over here.
Bill Reynolds, please approach the podium, restate your name, and state which items you're speaking on.
And as folks are coming forward, just folks should know that the chair is going to recommend that we continue item number 6 on the special agenda. Item number 6, there's going to be a recommendation to continue. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bill McReynolds, here with Toll Brothers, applicant for item number 3.
Okay.
We are just here to for any questions that the Plum Committee might have, and we just wanted to express our appreciation both to Councilmember Lee's staff and to City Planning staff for their assistance in getting us to this point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, that concludes public comment for this meeting. So we can begin by acknowledging and formalizing the request to continue item number 6 until April 2nd, 2024. Without objection, that'll be the order. Then our consent calendar, Mr. Mejia, are items 1 through 5. That's items number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If we could read those into the record and call the roll.
Yes, sir. So for item 1, as stated by the city planner, the recommendation as to the motion is to adopt it as amended to instruct the planning department in consultation with the city attorney to prepare and present the ordinance. For item 2, the recommendation on the motion is to adopt it. For number 3, on the proposed amendment to the Porter Ranch Transportation and Specific Plan. It is to request, the recommendation therein is to request the city attorney to prepare and present the ordinance. For item number 4, on the report from the Department of Building and Safety relative to the development of an accessory dwelling unit amnesty program. The recommendation is to instruct the Department of Building and Safety, with the assistance of the Planning Department and in consultation with the city attorney, to prepare and present an ordinance to permit the conversion of accessory dwelling units from an unpermitted structure constructed after January 1, 2018, that meets prescriptive standards to enable the ministerial approval of these projects as recommended by the Department of Building and Safety in its report dated May 11, 2023. Item 5, as to the appointment of Mr. Juan Aquino to the City Planning Commission, the recommendation is to receive and file inasmuch as the appointment of the nominee has been withdrawn. I will call the roll on those items inclusive of item 6, which has been continued to April the 2nd, 2024. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt. Absent, that's 4 members, and those items are adopted, sir.
Thank you so much. That takes us to item number 7.
Item 7, sir, this is a report from the City Administrative Officer as it relates to trust fund allocations for the Build LA project. CAO is present.
All right, so we're going to hear from the CAO and from the Bureau of Engineering.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Andy Gallant from the Office of the City Administrative Officer. Before you is a report relative to the Year 3 funding, request for funding for the Build LA project. The Build LA project is a multi-departmental effort to establish a centralized portal and electronic planning and permitting solution that improves delivery and development services and comprises the replacement and enhancement of a number of city applications across development services departments. The Build LA project is funded by the off-budget Development Services Trust Fund, the revenues of which are derived from a surcharge on permits. Accordingly, before you is a request for funding for the Build LA program Year 3 in the amount of $7.245 million. This amount includes $3.5 million for multi-departmental, the multi-departmental project component, and $3.745 million to be allocated to departments for Build LA projects within those individual departments. I believe staff has prepared a presentation, but I'll be available for questions.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and council members. Ted Allen, City Engineer with the Bureau of Engineering, joined by Lindsay Naish of the Bureau of Engineering. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough. I know we don't want probably too lengthy a presentation, but at the same time, I'm happy to go into as much detail as you want afterwards or answer any questions. The first slide, just a recap of what Build LA is. Build LA is a project to create a one-place portal where applicants can see all of their different permit statuses as well as clearances and eventually inspections and whatnot all in one place, so bringing all the departmental data together. It consists of kind of 2 sub-projects, the multi-departmental side, which the Bureau of Engineering, working alongside of the various departments in the mayor's office, putting together this central portal and database requires all of us kind of to do things jointly. And then there are departmental projects to change departmental systems to align with this, and so that's why, as was mentioned, there's a multi-departmental portion of funding request as well as individual department request. Next slide. So Build LA this is just kind of a visual representation, but we're pulling from all these different departmental systems into one central data repository. We can't show the applicant all of their information in one place unless we kind of put it in one place first, and that's what we've been working on very much recently, and right now getting that data in. We've kind of manually done it as a test. Now we're working on automating, so that's a real-time, multiple times per day data push, essentially. Recapping a little bit of what we did last year, but we were hoping to have the portal launched, honestly, by about this time. We're getting close. We're not quite there. we inserted a project last year in coordination with the mayor's office to do an affordable housing tracking system. So in working with the mayor's office and other city departments, it was a great kind of test run of a lot of the principles of Build LA, and so we do have that web-based application to keep a close eye on affordable housing projects already. So that was inserted. It set us back a little bit, but not a lot. As a part of that project, we did create these universal project identifiers. So again, to show someone or say a project team, all of the permits in one place, we need to know all these permits are related to a certain project. So we realize we need these projects to have, we call it kind of like the Facebook profile, a little profile for the project, and then we can link all the permits to that. So we're working on that web interface now for developers to create those project profiles, but we've already created this concept and these project identifiers. We also created the schema for bringing all the data into one place. We've, as I mentioned, manually replicated a lot of departmental data there. We're working on making it an automated process, and we begin the development of that user interface for the first user interface. I'll show a picture of that in a little bit. This year's goals, we want to launch Build LA soon in the coming months. In talking through this, we've realized the creation of those project profiles and the linking of those to the permits is really the first step. So it might be a soft launch soon with developers to enable them to start creating those project profiles, and then there'll probably be certain fields only the city can use to fill those in. We're working with developers and city staff to figure out what will be in that project profile. Maybe we don't want a lot, we don't want too much work to create it, but there might be certain key metrics. Is it providing housing? How many units? Maybe affordability levels. So those things we're talking through now. Obviously the project location, owner information, and then the project team that would be allowed to see the permits. So initially the concept of Build LA was that, you know, you'll be able to see all of your permits in one place, but then in thinking through it, well, the project owner doesn't personally apply for anything, so they wouldn't see anything. So the approach has kind of matured to, there will be a project profile, a project team, and then everyone on the project team can see all the permits for that project, you know, as long as the project owner or agent added them to that team. So that's the current approach right now. Making sure I don't miss anything here. We're working on access levels, who's going to be able to create the project profile, that would be part of it, and how people will be able to filter through data. If you think of some of the larger developers, they're going to have many, many projects, many project teams. If we just jumbled everything in one place, it would be hard to make sense of it. So they need to be able to group them. They need to be grouped by projects. They need to be able to filter, I want to see only this type of permit or whatnot. So we're working on what that usability will be. And we continue to have workshops. So recapping past, we started in year one a couple of years ago. We started with $2 million to kick off the project. We did in that first year create the appointment system as part of that, which has been working really well. Last year, the year two, we asked for $3.5 million for the multi-departmental side, and as part of that, we made a lot of advancement, but also created the affordable housing tracking system as part of that. Last year, unlike the first year, we recognized a lot of departments needed help with doing their departmental systems, so there was $2.6 million last year for departmental projects. And now for the third year, staying with that same $3.5 million per year on the multi-departmental side, and some additional departmental requests of $3.7 million as it's ramping up with the needs for them to line up, to push all this data into the system from their departmental systems and to align with the project identifiers and whatnot. And so next slide, it will change a lot from this because this isn't filterable the way I was talking about, but it kind of gives just a concept idea of there will be this portal, they will see permits, they'll see clearances, they'll see eventually inspections, although that won't be in the first rollout. But as it shows here is kind of just listing individual permits without grouping them by project. And so that's a change we're working on now. But that was like a very first version, but just to give a visual representation. And then last slide, this gives a little bit of the look ahead. So I've talked about most of 2024 already, but coming ahead in next year, adding inspection data, maybe virtual inspections. We're working with departments to look at that. Kind of a customer service request side of it, and we're working with ITA and the 311 team to see if it makes sense to be integrated with 311 platform, or should it be separate and that sort of thing. But that has to do with people just asking questions and like being able to have a dialogue with city staff, but it's all seen in one place. And we do need to start soon building up some city staff as far as taking us over. It's right now a lot of consultant augmentation. We've had a great consultant working with us to help develop this, but eventually over time the city will need to take over maintenance, and so we see that maybe starting to phase in next year, and then you can see 2026 and beyond. But we will, I think once we launch the portal, we're going to get a lot of suggestions, a lot of ideas. It will be something that's probably growing and we're building on for some time, because once this is available and all the data's in one place, I think it's going to be such a valuable tool. We'll get many ideas from all of you and from the development community and from city staff about how it could help them even more. So we see it going, at least probably 5 years or more, but really being something that's ongoing. It just kind of goes down to maybe a lower level of effort at some point to kind of mature. With that, that's the presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
Thank you. So this is exciting. I'm really excited about this. One of the things I hear a lot from developers is that it doesn't seem like the departments are talking to each other. So this will solve for that. That's the idea.
Yes, partially. So it will help not only developers but city staff to see all of the permits associated with a project and help. A lot of times when we really see projects run into trouble and then your offices hear about it and we hear about it, a lot of times what really happened is something slipped through the cracks. They thought they had done everything, but they didn't realize they needed to do this one other thing. And so seeing everything in one place, especially clearance related, I think will really help avoid those situations. Yeah.
Both for the developers and for the departments. Right?
Exactly.
So there's not mutually conflicting information being told.
Exactly, yeah.
Will the council offices have access to this too, so that we can check and see when we get calls and we can go in ourselves?
Yeah, you'll have full access to it for sure.
Okay. And then, is DWP part of this? I'm sorry.
Yes,
So all of the departments that touch the approvals process?
Yeah, the DWP integration with our own systems and with Build LA, we've been working with them because eventually, we would like to integrate new customer requests. Right now, that's in their system a little separate from ours, so we've been working with them on how to integrate that as well.
That's great. And this will be completely built out by when?
It depends how you define completely built out, but
I mean, usable and useful and up and running and...
It will be usable in this fiscal year with permit data and clearance data showing, but we will continue to enhance it for many years, I think. But I think by the end of this year, it will be a very usable tool.
Great. And you've gotten input as you've gone along from developers and expediters?
Yeah, we've met with a number of them, including development groups we work with, AIA and others, and we've received some input from them. I expect we'll get a lot more input once they're actually able to use it and feel it. Right now they're getting verbal descriptions and kind of overview presentations. We still received a lot of great input, but I expect to get even a lot more once they're able to use it.
Great. I just have one more question. Do you have sort of metrics or goals in terms of efficiency that you're going to be applying to this? Like it's a success if we cut down approvals times by X amount of time, or is that something you're thinking about as you start to roll this out?
Not right now. Our main goal is to just have the ability to see all of the data as it currently is, and then I think we'll be able to develop a lot of things. Right now, you know, right now things are fragmented in departments, as you mentioned, and so you can't even see the whole life cycle of a project and which items are often on the critical path and whatnot. But when we're able to see everything related to a project, I think the system will help us to automate the process of identifying potential critical items that may be lagging or, you know, pain points or whatnot. And it'll also enable us to measure the current state and then maybe develop further metrics on goals for those.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Councilmember Padilla?
Well, I just want to mention that I really appreciate the enthusiasm in your voice, that this is something that's finally going to be out there. I can definitely see the benefit. I will start off with that. I just kind of want to know a little bit more about the user. Who was the user that kind of guided the intentionality of its build out? So was this created in a way where it's so user-friendly that whether you're a developer or just someone trying to do something to their home, it's an easy software to use? Or do you think this is more a tool where when someone calls the city to kind of keep track of things, it's also a good tool for the city employee to kind of guide your everyday person through something that maybe once upon a time was scattered?
I think the main intent, the history goes very far back to the original 12-2 concepts and everything, and it was going to be a platform originally to do single intake for all permit applications, and that was honestly just kind of too much to take on at once and complicated. And we had departmental systems at work, but Build LA, the origination was really for customer friendliness, developers, and even just average person applying for their first permit ever, but to help them understand the process. But yeah, to your point, as we've gone through like with affordable housing tracking system and just discussing the system, I think it's going to be a great tool for city staff as well and for all of your offices to just have for the first time, kind of a complete overview of what are all the projects going on in the city and what's the status of all the permits related to them. So the customer is still our main focus, but the city employees are another focus that I think will be very helpful with, and we've received some great ideas from city departments and council offices on how to help, on the city side with managing things as well.
Okay, and if we could go back to the graphic where you have everything pointing towards the middle, right here.
Yeah.
So when I see this, I still see an individual, one application at a time, one. Is this system also going to, for example, you start the process and then give the customer a recommended checklist of where to go to next? Because I don't see the cohesion between them, but I still see very siloed. It just happens to go now onto the same database. But how do you know that you have to go through all of those?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So aside from putting the permit information all in one place, we're also working with the departments, and we actually did a lot of this legwork in the appointment system to help them understand which type of thing they need to ask for an appointment for. But we have this concept of all these services now. So in the appointment system, there's a Bureau of Engineering B permit service, there's a building and safety grading, and each of those services are described in there. But under Build LA, the concept is we will enhance that a little bit to kind of help people understand what they need to apply for, and then give them a link to take them straight to that departmental system. Or similarly, if they're looking at a certain permit and they're wondering why, like, oh, it says it's with us, I thought it was with the city, I want to go look at that. The portal will have a link to take them straight into that departmental system, and using the Angelino account, they won't even have to log in separately. All of those departmental systems will be using the Angelino account. Most of them are already. So they'll just click the link, go into the departmental system, see the data, or if they're starting straight from the portal and I want to get a driveway permit, but I don't know who to go to, there will be help articles there, and there will be links to take them straight in there. So even though we're not replacing those individual departmental systems, we're making it feel like there's one place they go to, but whether they're going to apply for something new or they're just checking on a status update.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you. Very helpful.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Councilmember Lee.
So this is a follow-up to Councilmember Yaroslavsky's question. So interdepartmental conflicts. So BOE says driveway has to be here. DOT says driveway has to be here. It's there. How does that get solved? It's there. How do you make the departments,
Yeah, to some degree, that customer service request system will help with that because everyone will be able to see the dialogue in one place, but that is something we've also been working on in the individual departmental processes. So for us, for example, our B permit, we route it now directly to those other departments, and so those are some of the departmental changes we're working on as well to try to integrate departments more, but that's something we're constantly trying to eliminate is differences between departments. So I think the customer service request system will be a way, if they're getting different answers, they could say, hey, BOE said this, DOT said this, and then we'll know and can get everyone together and get one answer from, the departments.
And there's I think one of the big time issues is, when we are getting inspections, is there any way to set it up? So I think someone would be willing to wait a little longer if they got the same inspector, so that you don't have a different inspector coming on and then adding new things and then adding a third inspector and same thing. So would that be a possibility that they
That
can
one,
request?
there's different departments that do inspections, so each department would have to speak to that. We can certainly, when we add inspections to this, which will probably be next year, that's something we can look at as part of it, is at least allowing them to request it if possible, but I would have to defer to the inspection departments on that one.
Cool. Okay. I think that concludes discussion on this item. And we have a recommendation to approve. Mr. Mejia, if you could read that into the...
Yes, so the recommendation is to approve the CAO report dated February 15th, 2024, as amended, as it relates to recommendation number 2. It does not change the allocation amount, and this is from the Development Services Trust Fund for the Build LA project and for the continuation of consultant services. I will call the roll. Mr. Harris-Lawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt absent, 4 members, and that is adopted, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Can you confirm, Mr. Mejia, that this concludes the business for the special meeting?
Yes, it does, sir.
Excellent. So the special meeting is adjourned. I'm going to ask the city attorney, even though I know the answer to this question. Is there any chance we can start the regular meeting now instead of waiting 15 minutes?
Adrian Corazani, City Attorney's Office. I'm afraid we can't.
All right. All right. So we'll start the regular meeting at 2 o'clock.